Spoke, we have two different ways to determine navigation or entry. The two elements that we have are spawn points and waypoints. Spawn points are only used for entering into the scene. You can have as many spawn points as you want. So the way you can think about that is taking this scene into consideration. We have doorways. So we've got one right there. We've got one on the other side. We've got one back there. So we could use a spawn point at each one of these doors. So I'll take a spawn point and I'll put it right here. I'll take a spawn point and I'll put it right here. And I'll take a spawn point and I'll put it right here. Now, what's going to happen with these spawn points is whenever someone enters our scene, this is where they're going to appear. Now, you notice that on the spawn point, the only thing that we have are the transform options and whether it's enabled or visible. So I'll just rotate this around and I'm just going to push this forward a little bit. Now, a couple of things to note about the spawn point element is that the direction of the eyes is the direction that the avatar is going to face when it enters the scene. So now we've just put a spawn point at each one of our doors. So our spawn points are used for entering into the scene. Waypoints, on the other hand, are used for, first of all, they can be used for entering into a scene, but they're also used for like occupying an area. So, for example, let's say that we want to sit someone behind this desk. We can do that with a waypoint. And so I'll just take this waypoint and I'll just sit it right here. Let's take a look and see where it actually is. I'll just rotate it around so it's looking at the computers. And so here we have it. And so now, let's get it back a little bit. So now, if you check out the options for our waypoint, so in comparison to a spawn point. So for a spawn point, we have no parameters that we can configure. But for a waypoint, on the other hand, first of all, we can choose to make it a spawn point, meaning that we could use this as one of the entry points. But we can also choose to not use it as a spawn point, in which case it'll only be able to be occupied based on the condition of it being clickable. So first of all, can be occupied. We'll check yes, because yes, we do want it to be occupied. Whether or not it's clickable. Well, since it's not a spawn point, I'm going to go ahead and make it clickable. And that's going to happen by hitting the A button on your controller, and you'll get this little avatar element icon that will pop up when we press that. We want to disable motion because we don't want the person using their joystick and accidentally moving off of the chair in this case. But we're going to leave teleporting on in this case because we want the person to be able to get off of the seat when they're ready to leave. But then in some cases, you may want to disable teleporting in the case that you didn't want the person to leave the seat. Maybe the person, maybe you have a situation where you want like an assigned seat. So in that case, you could give a URL to each person, and when they click that URL, they would spawn into that seat. And then because you have disabled teleporting active, they would be stuck in there. They wouldn't be able to get out of that seat. There would be no way to get out if you have disabled motion and disabled teleporting both checked. and then snap to the floor plan. If you do this, they're going to come down to the floor plan. If you don't check this, then they will, like, their avatar will hover at whatever height that you've got it from the ground. And maintain initial orientation. This is if you want the person to be forced to look in the direction that you point their avatar, that you point this waypoint at. So for example, right here you see the eyes moving, and so like whatever point of rotation that you put this, that will as a default be used to face the avatar, unless you check this, and then in that case, whatever direction they were facing before they occupied this waypoint, they would maintain that orientation. So let's take a look. So right now we have one waypoint and we have 3 spawn points. Now, since we're using multiple spawn points, one of those will randomly be selected when we enter the space. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this, and let's take a look. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter the room. And so here we are. You see we entered over here by this door. Now, let's go over here by our desk. So we put a waypoint by this desk. If I press the space bar in this case, you see we get the little man that pops up. If I click it, we're sitting at this desk. Notice that I can't move off unless I teleport. If I teleport, now I'm off. Peace.